The New England Patriots kind of went through a shift last year after Tom Brady headed to the retirement community known as Florida to go ahead and win another championship. The Patriots were kind of left in flux at quarterback. They brought in Cam Newton to some mixed results, and now Mac Jones, he's back there. Not necessarily the starter just yet, but he is there in the wings waiting. So what does this all mean for the Patriots in 2021? We'll get to that and more. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave that thumbs up if you appreciate the content. And let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love to have that nice football discourse. And yes, I'm a Dolphins fan. And yes, I'll be as unbiased as I can be. I don't exactly love Bill Belichick after, well, what? It feels like the 20-some years of him and Tom Brady. But those days are over. This is a different Patriots team we're looking at. We're going to go over the roster. We're going to take a look at who I project to be the starters, and I'll give you a prediction on how they're going to do in 2021. Let's go ahead. Let's get into the roster, starting, of course, with the offense. It is coached by Josh McDaniels. He is a fabulous offensive coordinator. I can't believe I said that. But he really is. He is able to kind of, whoever is back there at quarterback, he's able to really tailor make the offense for his quarterback. And I thought he did a very good job with Cam Newton last year. And it looks like Cam will be the starter unless he gets hurt or they really start the season immensely terrible. But I don't think that'll be the case. Now, last season they or at least they employed or deployed a very run-heavy approach, and most of the time they were under center, which is nothing new for the Patriots. Typically, that's how Tom Brady operated the Patriots, under center. But whenever they did go to shotgun, about 75% of the time, it was with a quarterback-designed run. So if Cam Newton is back there, I think we should expect more of the same. Didn't really succeed a whole lot, but I don't think that'll change much. Now, I do expect a lot more two tight end sets considering what they have invested in the tight end position this offseason with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. I expect Jonnu Smith to be that guy that just kind of goes up the seams, rips the defense apart, and Hunter Henry's more of this underneath. He'll maybe go take an out route and just break. He's going to be more the guy that picks up that'd be that chain mover, so to speak, while Jonnu Smith is kind of more of the big play target at the tight end position. And we know, let's look at the other guys they have there, because they did draft Devin, Asiasi and Dalton Keene the year before in the third round. And yeah, I think those guys stick. I think they're solid options as backups. I mean, considering how much they invested in Smith and Henry, those guys are playing without a shadow of a doubt. But this wide receiving core is not good. I'm sorry. It's easily the weakest spot on the roster. They really don't have a true number one. N'Keal Harry didn't really work out as planned. N'Keal Harry didn't really work out as planned. They're seeking a trade for him. Don't know if they'll really get one. But they got Nelson Aguilar, who, if they want to justify him being the number one receiver, he's got to really replicate what he did last season in Las Vegas. I really wouldn't consider him a true number one. Kendrick Bourne really feels more like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. Jacoby Myers is there, but I mean, he's a solid like vertical threat, but that's about it. Then they have really nothing. Matthew Slater, he's a special teamer. Trey Nixon might not even make the roster. Marvin Hall's interesting. He's a good deep threat that they have there. I mean, they got a bevy of different guys, but let's be honest, none of it looks good. That's easily the biggest question mark they have there. But again, this is more probably under Cam. It's going to be more geared towards the run game. And fortunately, I think this unit is very well put together to do that. Last season, they ran a bunch of different rushing concepts. It wasn't like they really stuck to one mainly. They did some outside zone, inside zone. There was some pull in there, pull blocks, and I mean, they really did it all. They did it all, and they got a wonderful offensive line. Obviously, Michael Onwenu was kind of the breakout guy last season. I was a big fan of his going into the draft. I couldn't believe he lasted until day 3. Shaq Mason, David Andrews, those guys have been solid throughout their career. Trent Brown returns to the Patriots after really his only healthy season came in New England. And then, of course, Isaiah Wynn, another guy, if he can stay healthy, should be pretty darn good. And then go into some of the depth. I think they really actually have some solid depth there. Like Justin Huron, who was now a second-year player coming from Wake Forest, I believe. I think he's pretty solid depth. William Sherman was one of the later day guys that I was actually really high on coming out of Colorado. I think he has good swing tackle potential. Ted Karras, as a Dolphins fan, I don't know why we let him go back to the Patriots. I was very satisfied. He is a very capable backup there. And yeah, I mean, I think they got a solid group there if injuries do occur, and which with Wynn, with Brown, they very well can. The real question, I think, is who is going to be the primary back in this offense, because we all know James White, he's going to come in and get his. He's a very good receiving back. He's a great pass blocker. He just kind of does it all. But is it going to be Damian Harris, or is it going to be Sony Michel? And I know everyone wants to jump on, hey, well, it's going to be Harris, of course. He was way better last year. When you actually look at it, Michel, his production wasn't too far off from Harris's, outside of, well, Harris getting more opportunities. And I think he deserved them. So I really think Harris should be the guy moving forward. But also keep in mind, they drafted in the 4th round Ramondre Stevenson. No, I almost just said Stevens. But I loved him coming to the draft out of Oklahoma. Dude is a very patient runner. He's very nimble, great contact balance. Not a burner by any means. So he kind of feels more maybe like a Sony Michel, at least how they would utilize him. This leads me to believe, because I really think a guy like maybe a Brandon Bolden or JJ Taylor, one of those guys will stick to the roster. I don't think they're going to hold on to 5 running backs. So I really think maybe Sony Michel might not be on the squad by the time, well, the season starts. Even though Bolden and JJ Taylor are more like special teamers, at least JJ Taylor, he's a bit different from Stevenson, from Harris, and from Michel. So you get a little bit more flavor in there. But this offense, for all intents and purposes, I think it's going to be very similar to last season. There might be a little bit more success, but keep in mind, Cam Newton, man, he wasn't that successful on these quarterback designed runs. Like, he just wasn't. So I don't know, man. I don't know how much longer till, a guy like Mac Jones maybe steps in. I don't think he does in year 1, because spoiler, I think the Patriots end up doing very well. And if you're not familiar with this series, I'm literally going from worst to first, and in my rankings, and the Patriots, we're currently this is the 22nd team I've covered. So yeah, I think the Patriots are going to do good. Let's go ahead and move on to the defense. And the defense is very, very interesting. I think they have co-coordinators, right? And let me check. And Steve Belichick and Jared Mayo. That's right, Mayo, man. Former linebacker. Gotta love it. I love seeing these guys I used to watch play now come in and start coaching. But typically, they're a base 3-4 for the most part, but we know they're more of a hybrid defense, more of a multi-D, if you want to call it that. And they were very well known for doing a lot of man coverage. Last year, they incorporated a lot more cover 3, which essentially is man coverage after about 10 yards. You kind of find that man in your area, and you're sticking to him. So I think they deploy very well. This is something very similar to how the Seattle Seahawks ran theirs when it was the Legion of Boom. So I think they really got the right pieces to do that. But let's go ahead and talk about the problem last season with this squad, and was getting pressure. Because boy, oh boy, they sucked at getting pressure. There would be times on 3rd down, they go cover 0, bring in some extra pass rushers, and still weren't very capable of getting pressure. They were actually tied for 10th worst pressure rate in all of the NFL. And it kind of makes sense with some of the additions that they made this season, that yes, they want to be better at rushing the passer. Bringing in Matt Judon, going out and bringing back Kyle Van Noy, drafting Christian Barmore, which what a steal in the second round. I mean, you could go check out my draft grades videos. I thought that was just ludicrous value, what they got for him. So it'll be interesting. I think we should expect more of the same when it comes to the D-line. And by more of the same, I mean it's kind of going to be a revolving door of who starts, who plays, and whatnot with guys like, well, Lawrence Guy, Byron Cowart. They did bring in Christian Barmore. We got Wise. They also signed guys like Hunter Henry and Devon Gacho. So I think we're going to see these guys get like 300 plus snaps a piece for the most part. There will be one or two guys that really emerge as the, I guess, the true snap leaders on the defensive interior. But you got to expect Matt Judon. I don't think he's just going to come in and take over or do the, who was it last year? John Simon, right? Or John Simeon. I think it's Simon. I don't think he's going to come in and take that role because Simon was, a lot of the time, he was playing like a 5 tech or playing over the tackle. I don't necessarily think Judon does that. I think they're going to rather him come on the outside end. Let's talk about this real quick because low-key, Matt Judon and stinking Chase Winovich is a very, very scary pass rushing duo. And then you got Kyle Van Noy, he's gonna drop back into coverage plenty of times, but he is gonna be a pass rusher. Matter of fact, actually, Kyle Van Noy is probably gonna take on that John Simon role now that I think about it, and that was like 700 snaps last year. So yeah, that's actually very interesting. I like that a ton. I think they will be able to get pressure. I mean, Dante Hightower's back there in the middle after opting out last season. Jawan Bentley, I don't think we're going to see a ton of him. Just considering that Kyle Van Noy's back, if they do drop linebackers back in coverage, probably be Hightower and Van Noy. You could even make a case for Josh Uche, who I was a big fan of a couple of years ago coming out of Michigan. OP sees a little bit more time. They got Raekwon McMillan. I don't know if he makes the roster. Cameron McGrone, who they took this year out of Michigan, but he's not going to see the field. Let's be honest. He's a very athletic guy that lacks length. And if anything, like looking at this, I really think Anthony Jennings is really being built to be the guy to take over for Dante Hightower. They have very similar skill sets, but yeah, man, I would really watch out for this pass rushing duo, dude. I'm interested. And the thing is, like, I think it was Patriots Global. I'm going to drop his name one more time in here. But he was telling me that Chase Winovich and Bill Belichick kind of clashed. I don't know why specifically, but apparently they don't see eye to eye on something. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. But let's talk about the secondary. And like I said, this went from a very press man heavy scheme to where they started incorporating more cover 3, which it works out with the guys on their roster here. Stephon Gilmore is kind of coming off a down year, but he's one of the best corners in the league. J.C. Jackson, extremely underrated. I think he could easily be your number 1 corner if Gilmore ends up not playing. You could also talk about Jalen Mills in minicamp with Gilmore not there. He was actually taking snaps on the outside. We'll find out more at training camp. But he's an interesting guy that's played the slot. He's played deep and in the box there while at Philly. So he's an interesting guy. I'm curious to how they're going to deploy. But yeah, no, they're really, really good. Outside of that, I mean, of course, you could talk about the slot. Jonathan Jones, another underappreciated slot player there that played very well. But I don't really see too much outside of those, like those 4 guys. Justin Bethel, let's be honest. Come on. But Miles Bryant's an interesting name just because I was pretty high on him coming out of Washington like a few years ago. Don't know if he makes the roster. Jawan Williams, actually, and this is where I'll drop Patriot Global's name again. They said they were experimenting with last season. They were kind of playing him more as like the slot box type of player, but we haven't seen a lot of him in the past few years. Then the safety position, Devin McCourty, Adrian Phillips, they're probably going to be your likely starters. Kyle Duggar did, though, get significant snaps. He had like 500 some snaps, 500 plus, I think. But I didn't even talk about Ronnie Perkins. I could come back to him. But it sounds like they're trying to make him an outside linebacker, kind of stand up pass rusher, really. But Kyle Duggar, a guy that could come in and play in the box, very, very athletically gifted. He's definitely going to get his. I wouldn't surprise me if they ran like 6 defensive backs, kind of rely on maybe like 4 guys to get pressure there. They also have Adrian Zicolbert, who's a good vet. I don't know if he sticks to the roster, but he's a good guy to bring in-house. They do have Joshua Bledsoe, who had literally the worst win rate at the Senior Bowl. Not a fan of that pick. But, yeah, man, I think this is going to be a very good defense. Very good. And even talking about Ronnie Perkins, probably won't see a lot of time this season, but that was a guy that got a lot of production coming off the edge there at Oklahoma last season. Granted, like a third of it came against Kansas. But this is a good defense. It's just, will the offense be able to hold up, man? Because they are going to try to – it's going to be a very possession-heavy offense. They're going to try to win the clock. Will they be able to do that? Well, let's go over my starters real quick, and then we'll go into my predictions. First and foremost, when I do starters, I don't do it based on your base defenses. I do it based on the guys that I think are going to see the field the most. I don't care about base defensive starters or whatnot, or depth chart and whatnot. I just want to know who's going to be on the field the most. So that's how I do these projected starters. Starting with the offense, Cam Newton, Damian Harris, Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. I really think they paid those tight ends to be on the field, so they're going to be on the field. And then I do think Damian Harris ends up being the starter. Or at least seeing more carries. And then Win on Waynu, Andrews, Mason, and Brown. I don't think there's really much to talk about there. They're just a very good offensive line. And then going to the defense. Like I said, I really think there's going to be 6 defensive backs in terms of how many guys are going to, or just in terms of the snap count. I mean, we saw, I think, 7, their top 7 or top 8 players who had like the most snaps on defense were corners. And it was like Gilmore, Jackson, Jones, and McCourty, Jason McCourty. So yeah, I think it'll be a bit more of the same. So I got Gilmore, Jackson, Jones. I got McCourty, Phillips, and then like I said, Kyle Duggar going to get his. And Adrian Phillips and Devin McCourty, those are very reliable vets. They come in and they do their job and they do it well. Dante Hightower, I definitely think will get a bulk of the load there at linebacker. I listed Kyle Van Noy here as an edge, but again, another guy that can drop back, Matt Judon, and then I got Devin Gacho, and then I got Wise. Wise was the guy that, outside of Simon, had the most snaps on the interior there. And I really think if they want to come in and bring in their zero tech, it's Gacho. That's why they brought him in, 2-year deal. That's kind of the role he fills. But yeah, defense looks great. Let's, I guess, go ahead to predictions. So I got the New England Patriots going in 2021. A nice, healthy 10-7. This actually makes them second in the division, tied with the Dolphins, but they end up having the tiebreaker over the Dolphins, and it gets them into the playoffs actually at 10-7. So I have them going 3-3 in the division. I think the Jets are going to be a lot better than some people think. And by a lot better, I mean maybe 6 wins. Like, still be realistic. But outside of that, like the schedule, they got some tough ones here and there having to face. The Ravens, Browns, like that sucks. They got to face literally the 2 toughest teams in the AFC North. Having to go face like the Chargers, Buccaneers, the Colts, I mean, the Titans. There's some tough games there. So, yeah, like, I mean, I think it's very likely they start the season with 3 wins. Like I said, I really think division teams play each other very well. That's why I got them going 3-3 in the division. So, but this easily can be a win. But I think the Jets might be able to sneak a few wins here and there. So I went with the division rival. But yeah, I mean, shoot, they even got the Cowboys on the stinking sketty, dude. by no means is this easy. There are a few tough stretches here and there. I mean, Chargers, Panthers, Browns, Falcons, Titans, Bills, Colts, Bills. That's a hell of a run there. And then you're going to be facing Trevor Lawrence after he's had some time with the team. Like, oh, and it even shows playoff. Oh, does it? I guess it does. What is that? Yeah, no, because there's 18 weeks and then it's showing you who they face in the first round of the playoffs. Okay, I was like, what is this? This makes no sense to me. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I know you fans, you typically have a better grasp on what your team is going to do. And I always have fun talking with y'all in the comment section. So yeah, go ahead and do that. But that's it for the video. Go ahead and do that YouTube thing. It's always much appreciated. Much obliged. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Oh, let me switch to this. Or not. Later.